I am John Davis Marshall, your lifestyle architect. Welcome to Wisdom and Wealth. Each Thursday, we bring to you Finance Matters. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, like and comment on this video, and share it with every person and everywhere you possibly can. If my coaching can benefit your professional life, or my counseling can benefit your personal life, then extend your experience with me. Visit my website, pms123.com. And while you're there on my website, subscribe to Matters Monthly Magazine. Explore Wisdom Wares, which will give you an opportunity to make a bold public statement without ever opening your mouth. And then purchase this book, Faith, Family, and Finances, Volume 1, because from it I will be sharing with you information today. And if you have your personal copy of this book, you can read and research and study. Remember, books make excellent gifts. When you give a person a book, you're giving them wisdom. Wisdom and knowledge keeps living. So do your friends a favor and give them a book. Let's talk about tithes and offerings. Tithes and offerings. Jesus commended a poor widow for giving all that she had. Now, don't end the video, because don't get up and stop listening. I'm not going to ask you to go broke and give everything you have. I'm not going to do that. But Jesus commended the poor widow for doing that. And there are no indicators that he asked her to do it, but she did it voluntarily out of the joyful thankfulness of her heart. So he commended the poor widow, but he commanded the rich ruler to give all that he had. Luke chapter 18 and verse 22. The story for the widow is in Luke 21, verses 1 through 14. He commended the widow, but he had to command the rich ruler. God established the system of tithes and offerings. Deuteronomy chapter 12. We would do well to learn what that system is and then honor that system in such a way that we will always have the favor of God. Now, tithes are distinctly different from offerings, though we often interchange and exchange one term for another. We use them interchangeably, but they are distinctly different. Deuteronomy chapter 12, Malachi chapter 3, 2 Chronicles chapter 31, and Nehemiah chapter 13. Well, what is the difference, you ask? The tithe was a system specifically regulated by heaven as a percentage, 10%, Leviticus chapter 27. Heaven regulated it not only as a percentage, but as a priority, because it was the first tenth. Deuteronomy chapter 26. You might recall that's what got Cain in trouble. He did not make his contribution a priority. So the tithe was regulated by heaven. It was a priority, and it was a portion. It was a priority first. It was a portion, 10%. But the offering was a system categorically regulated by the heart. For their offering, God did not give his people a set percentage. He gave them the opportunity to give from the heart. Exodus chapter 35 bears that out. Now, tithing was a system that was in place before the law of Moses. Genesis 14. Make note of that. Tithing did not come with the law of Moses. Tithing predated the law of Moses. It predated the law. And Jesus honored the system of tithing. Luke chapter 11 and Matthew chapter 23. So keep in mind, tithing came before the law of Moses, and tithing was in place after the law of Moses. Now, God used his systems of tithes and offerings not to take things from people, but to get good things to his people. The earth calls for your seed. If you want some apples, you want some watermelons, the earth calls for your seed. You want some corn, the earth calls for your corn, your seed corn. Well, why does the earth do that? It's not trying to take corn away from you. It's trying to get you to participate in a system so that the earth can get more corn to you. Because if you plant 1 grain of corn and if it is productive, you will harvest far more than 1 grain. So the systems of tithe and offering was not that God didn't want you to have what you had. He used that system to get good things to his people. And when we honor him with our tithe, God increases our income. Malachi chapter 3. And he decreases our expenses. And what we give determines what we receive. Luke chapter 6. A good example of that, when Solomon spoke with God, he reminisced about how God had granted generational favors to his family. Here's what Solomon said. He said to God, "You have dealt with my father David with great loving kindness and have made me king in his place. Now, O Lord God, your promise to my father David is fulfilled, for you have made me king over a people as numerous as the dust of the earth." Therefore, with confidence, Solomon asked God for wisdom and knowledge. Now, what this should teach us is that if we are favorable toward God, we can expect generational favor to continue in our generation. Isn't it awesome to have fathers and grandfathers that were favorable toward God? And God is still blessing you because of your grandfather and your father. Yes, Solomon said to God, "Give me wisdom and knowledge." And that night, Solomon made a great contribution to God. God didn't ask for it, just out of the generousness of his heart. And when God answered Solomon's prayer, he said, "Not only am I going to give you wisdom and knowledge, I'm going to make you richer than anybody else has ever been." 2 Chronicles chapter 1. Listen, being generous toward God stimulates his generosity toward you. Remember, I am your lifestyle architect. If my coaching can benefit your professional life or my counseling can benefit your personal life, then extend your experience with me by way of my website, pms123.com. While you're there, bless your life with this book, Faith, Family, and Finances, which is what we have just studied out of. But there's a world of other information in that book as well. Go ahead and order your copy right now before you forget it. And then subscribe to Matters Magazine. Check out Wisdom Wares, which enable you to make a positive, powerful statement in public without ever opening your mouth. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Like and comment on this video and share it with every person you possibly can. Indeed, it is true. A better you begins with a grace view of God. That's why we want you to forever be gripped in his grace and mesmerized by his mercy.